Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Studio 6 Paranormal Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Hill, with...
Shane Feek.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, It's not bad
Yeah.
for a Sunday.
Yeah. Getting ready for Thanksgiving, I take it?
Oh, yeah, we're actually, now that our kids are grown and out, we're pretty much just going to chill. We'll probably go out to eat or do something.
You don't have any kids at home anymore?
Oh, no. It's great.
I thought you did.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
They visit once in a while, or they'll, we have a little grandkid, but no, there's nobody at home, just me and the wife. It's great.
Man.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't do the shopping for Thanksgiving. My wife does that, and she got her turkey last week, I think. And yeah, people who need to get turkeys before the week of Thanksgiving, you're going to have a hard time getting anything over 12 pounds.
Yep, pretty much.
So, yeah, she was lucky enough to get a 22 pounder.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll be eating leftovers so the cows come home. But that's okay, because that's what Thanksgiving
Turkey sandwiches.
is for.
Yep.
Yeah,
there you go. You figured it out.
I mean, you make soup, you may do whatever, but it's going to last you at least until Christmas, especially a 22 pounder. Holy cow.
Yes, especially if there's only two of you.
Right. Yeah. No, actually, there's three. There's
yeah.
We also feed my mother-in-law, so
that's cool.
Yeah, so yeah, she's great. So yeah, it's one of those things where we're all one little big happy family, and we try to make it work with the food. She cooks a lot, and I work in a restaurant or a country club as a cook, and I don't cook at home. She said that's one of the reasons why she married me, but she, I kind of let her down. So, but anyways, let's talk about our guest. Our guest tonight is Jessiy McAlpin from Extraction Point. She's the bass player from the band from the Chicago area. I've seen a couple videos of her shows, and she's very talented, very good. She's also into the paranormal, and that's one of the reasons why I had kind of tapped her to come on the show, because I don't know, something kind of led me to ask her. So
sounds good.
Before further ado, let's get her on.
Let's bring her on.
All right. There she is.
Hello, there she
Jessiy.
is.
Hi.
So, you are actually from around the Chicago area, correct?
Yeah, I technically grew up in a small town called Grant Park, which is down by the Kankakee area. And then
I know where that is. I have friends that live down there.
Middle of nowhere. Then I moved up this way in 2014, was in Schiller Park for a while, and then moved to Roselle in 2018.
Cool.
Nice. So tell us a little bit about, first off, let's talk a little bit before we get into the paranormal. Let's talk a little bit about your band. Can you tell us a little bit about that information so that people kind of know what kind of band you have and how long you've been playing, etc.?
I've been into music since I was in grade school. I am naturally a vocalist guitar player, but a few years back in like 2013, my best friend asked me to be the bassist in this band called Radio Creeps. So I was in that band for about 5 years, then left there, and then took kind of a hiatus for a couple years, and then my friend asked me to join Extraction Point. I think it was about April last year. And I was already kind of like, oh, I kind of miss playing music. I want to play music again. And then that happened. So I was like, oh, cool. Sweet. Yeah, totally. So joined them last year in like April, May, learned all the music. My first show with them was July of last year. And then been doing shows, and we're actually working on our second album right now. So we've got, I think, like 2 or 3 songs pretty much in the works. Our vocalist just needs to add vocals. And then we're hoping to get that finished up and recorded by summerish, maybe.
That's
all
cool.
All that makes money. It costs money though. So
I do side work in a studio actually. So I'm used to all the recording stuff. Matter of fact, I'm sitting in a recording studio right now. So
yeah. So how many songs do you have completed with Extraction Point?
Oh, well, we do a cover of Cocaine by Eric Clapton that
Excellent.
everybody loves us to,
I
they
know.
love that song. We get everybody
Okay.
screaming cocaine with us. So we got that one. And then our newest one's called Return Fire. And then the
Hmm.
one before, like, I guess you could say third newest is Forced Compliance, and that one's kind of about the pandemic and all the crazy crap that was going
Right.
on back
Right.
then. So I think there's
Right.
12 or 13 total.
Enough for an album.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that's yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, did you say that is you? Are you going to have an album out or?
Well, we have our first album that came out in I think it came out in 2019, 2020, and this was
Oh,
this was
okay.
before I joined, but
Okay.
so like they created all the music, they had a bunch of stuff lined up, and then everything got shut down. So
Oh,
that kind
All
of,
right. Right.
yeah, that
Right.
put a damper on the band
It kind of
altogether.
put a damper on the paranormal field too. So
Right. Well,
don't
it put a
don't feel
damper on
bad.
everything.
Right.
So
Yeah.
things kind of halted for a little bit, and then they started playing shows again, I think in the end of 2021. And I went to a couple of them too. So it was just like, oh yeah, this
Hmm.
is awesome, live music again. And then the bassist that they had, I can't remember exactly why, but they were parting ways, and then my friend asked if I'd be interested, and I was just, it was perfect time. So
Right.
said
Right.
awesome.
yes, and then learned all their stuff, and then we
Hmm.
started creating new stuff. Let's see, probably end of last year, beginning of this year, we started playing around with some stuff, and then we've been doing shows a lot. We had 3 shows this past week.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah.
See, I'm glad I'm
Yeah.
just a sound engineer. I don't have to move speaker cabinets and
Yeah.
be
Right.
a roadie.
I'm lucky I
Right.
got a DI pedal, so I don't gotta
Oh
move
yeah.
a cabinet anymore.
Yay.
Nice. Yeah. I music has been in my wheelhouse for years, wanting to be a musician and playing guitar and stuff like that. And then I just got to the point where I didn't want to do it anymore. I was
Hmm.
getting older and I wanted to do something different. And then, things happen. But yeah, so music actually plays a big role in my life, actually, from a friend of mine that I have. His name's Mikey Ediker, and he knows everything about music, and especially the type of music you guys play. And I presented it to him, and he said, "This is really good." And he is a strict. He'll tell you if it sucks. Trust me. I mean, and I've sent him some stuff. He's like, "That's just awful," And then I'll be like, "Okay, I found it on TikTok a while ago, and I just thought, I wanted your opinion," and I kind of knew what his opinion was going to be. So, but no, he says, I'm sure that I'd like to go to a show eventually, and check you guys out. And you're only what, maybe less than an hour from me because I'm
Yeah,
right
you're
in
probably about
by
3
Lake
hours from
Geneva.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in
So yeah. So
Michigan.
when is your next show?
We actually just played our last one this year. Our next one probably won't be till sometime next year because we gotta write and stuff. There's a
Cool.
Hmm.
possibility we might have one February 3rd at Brower House in Lombard. That's like in the works though. We said yes, we do it, but that depends on if it actually happens. So we'll see
Sure.
what
Right.
happens. But
Right.
aside from that, we haven't
Right.
planned anything yet.
Yeah, I know how the music
Okay.
industry is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It can be something that is very daunting, but since you've been in that band and you guys get along and everything works well, and good chemistry, and that's kind of the key, is having good chemistry with your
Mm-hmm.
bandmates and stuff. Where nowadays, where back in the day when I was growing up, and you would see bands break up over the dumbest
Oh yeah,
things,
they do. They
you
still
know
do.
They still
and
do,
they
yeah.
still
We
do.
could
But I
never.
mean, I
Hey, do you
just
want to come play bass for us? Our bass player never
yeah.
shows up. He's always
Right,
late
right,
or high or something.
right.
Right.
Right, right, right. So yeah, but okay, switching gears, let's talk a little bit about the paranormal and how you kind of got into it.
Okay. Well, I guess you could say I kind of grew up with it. I ended up growing up
Mhm.
on an Indian burial ground.
Oh, that's
Did not
cool.
Mm.
did not know that at the time. I
Oh,
just had a
oh my
lot of
gosh.
experiences, and stuff would happen when I was a kid. And like my mom still talks about to this day when we lived there, I wouldn't go outside at nighttime, and I would never go into this one side of the yard by myself, like ever, even when I was a kid.
Wow.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
because we had, I think it was like 5 acres, and I would see tall black shadows with red eyes. Stuff would
Oh
move.
my.
Wow.
TVs would turn on. This memory just kind of surfaced the past couple years. I swear I saw a little ET being in these bushes in the back of the yard because it was like
Mm-hmm.
this weirdish greenish gray color, and then I saw just the tops of the eyes, and it
That's
like
awesome.
moved, and then it moved, and then I ran to the house, and I think I was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
6, and then
Right.
after I got older and started researching stuff, I found out I have abilities, if you want to call them that, like psychic
Oh yeah.
empath type stuff.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so it made
Yeah, I could see that
Yeah,
already.
I don't.
Yeah.
it made sense why I a lot happened to me when I was young.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad died when I was 10, and I found out he passed away in the ambulance in the driveway when I found out when I was like 14 or 15. So me being a dumb kid, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna talk to him. So I grabbed a pendulum board and put
There
it
you
in the
go.
driveway and sat there
Oh my gosh.
thinking I'm talking to my dad, but
Yeah.
I don't know what I was talking to. And then a lot of crazy crap happened at the house after
Oh
that.
no.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we had
Wow.
a priest actually come and bless the
Oh my.
property. Yep.
Wow.
That's good.
So that's how
Wow.
I got into it. I always actually spent time at a cemetery that was down the road from my house. I'd ride my bike over there and read a book or draw or
Mm-hmm.
write lyrics or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was this one time I was sitting against a tree reading a book, and I saw this woman off in the distance, and she had on like a big brimmed hat with like
Mm-hmm.
a bluish dress and then like puff sleeves, and like one of those hats that had like the big ribbons and they tie it under here.
Wow.
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, that's weird. And like I was watching her, and then she walked behind a tree and poof, was gone.
Whoa.
Oh.
So I
That's
ran over
cool.
there. I'm like, what just happened? And I didn't see her again. And I
Right.
think I
Right.
was like 14 or 15 when that happened. So just my whole life.
So how did that influence your life in that sense when you were 14 years old and you're experiencing plus the fact that you know kids may have changes at usually at that age, and things are just kind of going crazy. What did you attribute that to? I mean, did you try to come up with a reasoning why, or did you just like accept it for what it was?
I would always try to figure it out first. So one of the things that would always happen, um, since we lived in the country, we had like one of those big propane tanks, and we had a
Hmm.
really big driveway, and there was like woods off onto the left by the garage. So me and friends would sit on the porch having cigarettes or, being
Hmm.
young,
Yeah.
and rocks would get thrown and it would hit the propane tank or the
Oh,
driveway. And it's like, okay, that's got to be some stupid kids that hiked in the woods. And we go over there with flashlights and look, and nothing's over there. We're like, okay, that's weird. And that happened all the time if we were
Wow.
outside.
That's
I
cool.
had so we try to debunk it first, or
hmm,
say the TV came on or something. I'd be like, oh, it was a short
right, right.
circuit or something. And then I'm terrified of dolls to this day because of this. So I had American Girl dolls, and always play with them. They would go to school, so we'd have paper and
Hmm.
pencils and all that. And this one time, my friend and I were playing with them. That we went to eat, and then we went back in the room, and there were these scribble marks on the closet because it was painted white. These pencil marks, like just scribbles, and it was like 3 feet above the ground, maybe. And
Wow.
the
Hmm.
dolls were laying on the bed.
Huh.
So I couldn't debunk that.
Yeah, that's weird.
Right, right,
My
right.
house is filled with dolls, the American Girl dolls. My wife's a
Ugh.
seamstress, and so they're all over the place in various states of dress.
Oh wow.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Yeah. So yeah, my mother actually used to collect dolls. She was into antiques. She owned her own antique store, so
Hmm.
she would collect dolls. And after she passed, we had to clean out her apartment, and all these dolls everywhere.
Wow.
Now, at that time, dolls don't really creep me out.
Hmm.
Clowns don't creep me out. Dolls don't creep. There are some things that I would say that kind of be mindful when you buy an antique, no
Right.
matter what it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Always be mindful of that. So, can I say that I've had experiences with an antique? Maybe that I really did notice. You know what I mean? But I technically don't have really any antiques per se anymore. So, but since you were growing up experiencing that and trying to start already when you're young like that to debunk things,
Yeah, that
that's
is
kind of a
cool.
really good.
Yeah.
That's a really good intuition to have at that point, at that age. In trying to figure out what it is instead of just assuming. Most kids nowadays
Hmm.
be like, "That's what it is. I swear that's what it is," without saying, "What's the other reason?" Debunk it a little bit. Try
Yep.
to figure out what it could be instead of
Hmm.
what you automatically go to that. It's got to be this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
It just started
I
to
mean
become
that's
normal.
really cool for you. Yeah, that's really cool that you're
Yeah, it
able at
is.
that age to do that. So, can you talk about any other experiences since after that time when you were a teenager? Number one, yeah, you are gifted, and that there's a reason why I asked you onto the show because of the fact that usually when spirit works through me, um, it directs me to people I should talk to.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's how that works. Yeah. I've always done that. And that's how I have the host now, and I have the host on my other show and the friends that I've been with. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's just kind of the way it is. So when you were getting older, like say your 20s, did you have some more credible experiences that you can talk about or
Well, I think I was maybe 19 or 20. Because after I got freaked out enough, I kind of blocked it all out. Like I
Mhm.
shut my
Mhm.
gifts off by accident. It just
Yep.
it just kind of
Yep.
happened. So I didn't
Hmm.
think about it for a while. I was still interested and I would read books and stuff, but I
Mhm.
wasn't really seeking it out. And well, the person I was dating at the time and some of my friends, we went to it's called Diversitech. It's in Mantino. Well, it's not there anymore. It's like I think an old folks home now, but it was a insane asylum, I guess you could call it.
Mhm.
So like Waverly Hills type of thing. Not
That's
nearly
cool.
as
Yeah, yeah.
big, but that was
Right.
the cool local thing to do when you were a teenager
Yeah, I'm
You're
sure.
is
right.
to
Right.
go to Diversitech and be scared. Well, we started our own little like ghost hunting group and I was the EVP person. And so I had the little cassettes, not the digital stuff, a little cassette player,
Right, right.
Yep.
so
Yeah, don't date yourself. Come on now.
I don't care.
Oh, she's young. She's a youngin.
So I was the EVP person, so when we would go into Diversitech, I'd ask questions and stuff, and we'd, walk around and see if we could see stuff and everything and, be dumb teenagers. And this one time I was reviewing the evidence and on the tape, you can hear like something running, like, and then it said family, really like in a
Oh.
whisper,
Wow.
which was
Mhm.
weird. And then I come to find out my grandma actually went there for alcoholism.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, yeah, I
wow.
was like, what? And then something else I recorded was like in the old days, they had those big electrical switches that you had to like pull down.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It sounded like
Um,
that. There
yep.
were lots of static noises and talking that we couldn't figure out because I've always been like very not ruly, but like rules are don't say people's names. If you're gonna say
Mhm.
something, like make sure you say it, don't whisper it. Like I had all these
Yes.
little rules for our group,
Which
and
is
you could
awesome.
hear, yeah, you could hear like people having a conversation, but we knew it wasn't us, so it was really
Right.
interesting. So I did that, and then one of the other places our little group went was this cemetery in Bourbonnais, and to this day, I wish I had this tape. So this one girl, she had, old time recorder with the VHS tape, and we were just walking around the graveyard, asking questions, seeing if anything was there. And when we went back to her house, we put it in the TV and we were watching it, and there was like obviously it's in town, so there's like street lights and stuff, and you see this black head and shoulders kind of just go like this past one of the street lights, and we were like, oh my God, rewind that, and we watched it like over and over again, and we're like, that's like 10 feet in the air, because
Yeah.
like the camera, you can see one of our friends, and it's night vision, so they're all green and everything, and then it pans this
Sure.
way, and then higher up, this black head and shoulders just goes right past the light. And
Wow.
that was, I'd never seen anything like that, like in person, I guess. Like
Right,
it had
right.
been a long time, then that's when I started, my memories started to come back, and I was like, oh
Mhm.
my God, I remember all this stuff now. Because it's like
Mhm.
I shut the door in my mind and I didn't think about
Mhm.
any of that, and then it all started to come back. And
Mhm.
Yep.
then
Mhm.
just took a little break, I guess, again for a while, and then the past few years I've been getting back into it, and now that I have, streaming and all that, I've been watching shows. I got to meet Dave Schrader and Chris Fleming, Greg and Dana Newkirk, and a bunch of other paranormal field people.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
got to meet them, so that was fun. And then I went to Joliet Prison actually in May with Dave
Mhm.
Schrader and Shane Pittman. Definitely had some experiences there. I have like tools and stuff nowadays too, like the EMF detector. I've got a Psionics Aurora camera, laser grid, like a bunch of little toys.
Right,
Yeah, that's
right,
cool.
right. Yeah.
Adult paranormal haunting.
Yeah, right, right. Right. So, yeah, we have a guest coming on for the Cemetery Files on Monday, Kara Phillip,
Oh,
and she's was on our other show, on my other show, a while ago. Now she's going to be telling some stories on Monday tomorrow.
oh, cool.
So, yeah, so she talked about Joliet Prison, and um, let's get your honest opinion about the atmosphere for that when you went to visit that place.
Okay. Well, having the abilities that I do, you could feel it there, like pit of your stomach, like I don't really like it here, so there's definitely
Hmm.
something there. And then there was we saw like a shadow figure like peer over the second floor of the cells.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that was interesting. Some of One of the volunteers had the music box, so it plays music when something breaks, like the
Right,
EMF
right.
beam or whatever it is,
Hmm.
and it was responding to some of the questions people were asking. So that was
Wow.
interesting. And then there
Wow.
was a couple different times where I would be walking by cells and you could hear like a shuffle in the cell. Like somebody was like, "Oh," and they'd like back away from the door or something, but no one was in the cells. So
Hmm.
that was definitely interesting. So there's stuff there. My One of my friends was actually there during the day, and he's a photographer, so he was just taking pictures, and he ended up
Hmm.
getting a shadow figure in the same cell block that we saw the shadow figure. So,
Oh, wow.
Wow,
and
I'd
it
love to see that
actually
picture.
Hmm.
it was like you got to kind of zoom in on it, but I showed it to Kara because I saw
Hmm.
her and Jenny and a few other people a couple weeks ago, and Kara was like, "That's my doppelganger." And her and
Oh,
two other people were looking at it, and they were like, "That's your doppelganger." So he accidentally captured Kara's doppelganger. So I thought,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I thought
I'm gonna
that was
ask her about
interesting.
that tomorrow. Yeah, because I think she talked a little bit about something about that, the last time that me and, my other host, Kelly, talked to her,
Hmm.
and so that sounds familiar. So, now having, doing, the band and, with some of the paranormal stuff, what else do you do in your free time?
Uh, well, I do Reiki healing and sound healing.
Okay.
So I got like crystal bowls and stuff, so I do that, and then I do the energy healing work, and I hang out with my chill friends. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, music, paranormal stuff are my two main ones, and then in the nice weather, I've got the CE5 group, so I run
Sure.
that group too. And we try to meet like once a month starting in April, and we go until it's too cold. And then
Right, right.
recently, trying to plan out like little trips and travel and stuff. Um,
didn't you just have a special occasion happen to you?
Yep, went to Salem and got engaged.
Congrats!
Yay.
Yay! That's awesome.
Yeah, perfect Halloween.
There you go.
Nice. Yeah. What did you think of Salem? I have not been there yet. Shani, have you been there? Salem?
No, I have not.
Okay,
I've
so
never been there.
give us your assessment on Salem and how
Well,
you felt about it.
third time being there. I love it there. Like, I don't know what it is. When we first were walking around the streets and stuff, we just felt like we were home.
Hmm.
It's a interesting feeling, and you can feel well, there's like the fake part, obviously, of Salem,
yeah.
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
gimmicky stuff, but then we
Yeah.
took a history tour, and it's so fascinating. I love history. That's another
Yeah,
I mean,
same here.
if
Yeah.
you like paranormal, you kind of gotta like history too. It kind of goes hand in hand.
It
Sure.
does.
Yeah, it
Very
does.
much does. Yes.
So
Yeah.
like seeing all the history there and the obviously the witch burial sites and everything. And then like we stayed at the Hawthorne in June actually, and we were across the hall from the most haunted room there. So that was weird. I when we got to the Hawthorne, we unpacked and stuff, and he was my boyfriend at the time. He went downstairs to move the car, and I felt like somebody just spun me like a top. Like I got so dizzy.
Really?
I fell on the bed, and I'm like, what the heck?
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, stop it. I know how to get rid of you. I have sage and salt. Stop it.
Right.
And
Right.
then it
Right.
kind of
Right.
let up a little bit, and I'm like, okay,
Right.
at least you
So
know.
you haven't forgotten your gifts, and you pull them out when you really need to,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so yeah, and that's cool that you do that.
Oh, I've really learned to the past couple years learning to listen more
Mhm.
to them as well. Like there's been times where we're going somewhere, and well, even just driving, I'll go out to my mom's, she lives in the country, and I'll get a gut feeling to slow down, and a deer will go across the
Yep.
road.
Mhm.
Stuff
That's
like that happens all the time.
Right.
And then when we were in the Hockomock Swamp a couple weeks ago, that's where my fiance had his first full-blown paranormal experience. We were just walking, walking along for a little bit, and like my stomach started to like hurt. I'm like, oh, okay, something's here. And I kept feeling like something was gonna go in front of us or something was gonna
Mhm.
run up behind us. So I'm like looking around everywhere, being paranoid. And he's like la-di-da looking at all the leaves and stuff. And then I was like, babe, I don't feel good. And he's like, oh, that's fine. We're good. Let's keep walking. I'm like, okay. And we keep walking. And then he was like, don't you got that like EMF thingy with you? I was like, yeah, hang on. And I grabbed it, gave it to him. And then I saw his face like pale. And I was like, were you okay? He's like, yeah, let's keep walking. I'm like, okay. So we just keep walking, and then there's a few times that he just like stops and looks at it, and then he's like, okay, I don't know what's going on. It's going off. I can't figure it out. And it wasn't our phones. We were in the middle of nowhere. There's like no cell service. So, and it wasn't like sometimes radar, it'll pick up radar EMF detectors, but it's a
sure.
constant like going and
Yep.
and it wasn't doing that. It would just go to red when he would talk or ask a question. So then I grabbed it, and I'm talking and asking questions. It's not doing anything. So
Right.
I'm like, okay,
Huh.
here, you ask these questions. And um learning more about the Hockomock Swamp, it's pretty much kind of an Indian burial ground. A lot of uh bad things happen there.
Mhm.
And so I just looked at him. I'm like, I can't do it. We need to turn around. I can't do this anymore. Like all my alarm bells are going off. Let's
You're
leave.
right.
So we start
Right.
walking back to the car, and then I didn't feel like he was behind me anymore. So I stopped and I looked, and he was like 50 feet behind me. And I was like, babe, come on, let's go. And he was looking down at the EMF detector, and then all of a sudden he's like, yep, all right, let's go, we're going. And I'm like, don't tell me till we get to the car. So we get to the car, and he told me that pretty much that thing went to red, and he heard something next to him, like in the leaves, like shuffle a little bit. And he's like, yeah, I was just like, yeah, whatever. And then I stopped and I was thinking to go, go back from where we came from. And then I heard something run at me and it turned to red. And that's when I was like, let's go. And I was like, oh, so what do you think? He goes, that I've had my first full-blown paranormal experience.
That's awesome.
Nice. That is so cool.
Yeah, so
usually
was
when you have something like that, especially for somebody who's maybe a big skeptic or doesn't like it or doesn't understand it or is fearful of it, when they have that experience, it really can, like you said, kind of spin you around and and you don't know which direction to be. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
yeah.
So
yeah, he's learned to listen to my feelings after the 8 years we've been together.
Yeah, I've had a couple friends that learned to trust me a little bit more since they've met me and hung out with me and like, oh yeah, okay. Or they'll send me a text message and say, "What about this?" I'm like, I'm not a psychic medium on demand. I mean, I don't. I mean, I'll help people. I have close friends that I might say this or that to, but yeah, it's just, and it's not something that I turn off. I was like you. I ran from it growing up. I ran to drugs and alcohol. I mean, that was the only way that I could drown it out. You know what I mean? And even then, sometimes that would get past certain points of being inebriated, that my gifts were like, hey, we're gonna be better than we were before. And
oh
then
no.
crap. Yeah, oh yeah. It used to get sometimes intense. Like towards when I'd be like finished drinking and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be done drinking. And then I would sit there and not have a drink for about a half hour. Then all of a sudden, my gifts that I knew that were there are now starting to creep through because all my guards are down.
Yeah.
All my inhibitions are down. I'm carefree. I'm happy. And then all of a sudden, all my gifts are like, hey, what about this? And it's like, yeah, no, it's time to go to bed. So yeah,
I've
I've ran into
actually
that.
been sober for 5 years,
That's
so
awesome.
and it's definitely changed like you notice that when it comes to your gifts and stuff, because I didn't really think about it, but I would be at bars soaking up everybody's emotions, and then I'd be
Yeah.
drinking more, and then
Right.
it's like a vicious cycle. You drink
Yep.
more so you
Yep.
don't feel their emotions, and then it's like,
Right. But
can't
you're
win.
you're like an open door. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like one of those revolving doors. It's just like goes round and round. Yeah, when your inhibitions are down like that, when you're drinking, when you drink or you inebriate yourself, you're you're basically hitting a button and all your guards go down to nothing.
Yep.
You're not blocking anything. You're allowing that. It's like somebody's coming to you and saying, hey, you can feel really good, but you got to give me your cage.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got to give me the walls that are around you. You gotta let me take those down. And then people, do it. And then because I know I've done it. When I used to kind of give people like years ago when I was really kind of just getting into, I knew who I was. I knew what I could do, but I was still kind of drinking a lot. And then I would get really drunk and then people would ask me questions and then my gifts would come in and say, yeah, I'm still here. And then it was like truth serum. And then I would give them all this information and they would, one guy and this one lady couldn't believe that I knew what I knew because I saw it. And then they're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then, other people be like, this is amazing. Tell us more. And then eventually I got to the point where spirit basically said, enough. I would get a migraine headache immediately.
Yep.
Where I couldn't focus. It was almost like somebody said, okay, put a kibosh on it now because he's not being legit because of the fact that I was so inebriated. So I quit doing that, and then when I quit drinking because of a stroke that I had in 2013, yeah, I haven't drank since 2013. So, and that's when my gifts really kind of took over a couple years after that. So, so you can relate to that fact of trying to drown out your gifts or trying to run away from your gifts or trying to, you know what I mean? Because of the fact that if you're not sure of it, even if you research it, you're still kind of like, what is this? Why am I experiencing this? Why am I? And there's a lot of people that go through that where they don't understand what they're going through without a support system.
Yeah.
And that is key, is having that support system. And it even goes back to even with podcasting. There's a lot of people that have a lot of different podcasts, but they don't have the support system to help them. You know what I mean? They
Hmm.
can do it themselves to a certain point, but instead
Yeah.
of asking for help, they just kind of do it. And there's a large group of people, or support system in the paranormal, especially in podcasting, you know, down to antique cars. I mean, there's a group for everybody. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
there's a support system. And I think that, having, you know, like-minded people like yourself be on the show, it just kind of educates people, lets people know, that there's other support systems out there. There's other groups of people that have had the same experience. You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. But so can you talk about the last investigation that you've been on? Was that Joliet, or
Uh,
was there something
no,
else?
technically it was when we were in Massachusetts. That was, I mean, it wasn't
Okay.
like a full-blown investigation, but that was us kind of investigating stuff. And then we went to, I had SB7 and noise canceling headphones and tried to do an Estes method at Anawan Rock out there, which is where one of the Indian chiefs was beheaded. So
Oh wow.
yeah, there's like I said, the history out there. So tried doing that, but it started to pour, so couldn't really
Oh
do
no.
that for too
Mhm.
long.
Right, right,
Before
right.
before that, October 13th, so Friday the 13th, me, Steve, and my friend Genevieve went to oh, what's it called? The Compote building in Batavia. It's like this 1920s looking building that was like a warehouse and stuff. So
Really?
she has a group of friends there. They're actually called Kindred Spirits, but they were Kindred Spirits before Amy and Adam. Um,
Okay.
and they like host little investigations here and there. So we went to that. Not too much happened there. I didn't really get any bad feelings or anything. And then before that,
Hmm.
I went to the Woodstock Opera House for Chris Fleming's event. It was called the Pop-Up
Right.
Paracon. Yeah. Went there,
Right, right.
investigated. That place has activity.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I want to investigate that place really
Yeah,
bad.
I'd try it.
it's
And that's only
very
20
cool.
minutes from my house.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really,
I'm not.
really
I'm only
cool.
like 20 minutes from Woodstock. So yeah.
Okay,
So I'm in
okay.
Lake Geneva. So
Oh, okay. I know where
so
that's at.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that one
Yeah.
was definitely
So
really cool. And then before that was the Joliet in May. So trying to
okay.
do those as
Now,
often as I
did you
can.
see was there was quite a few other people that were there. Kara was there.
Yeah.
Um was Joe Diamond there?
Oh, I know that name. Possibly.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, yeah, he was there. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I did an interview on my show with him. He's pretty close too. And I've talked to him. He's a super nice guy. So yeah, there's so many different groups of people with talent around,
Mm-hmm.
down to, for what he does, for what Joe Diamond does is pretty cool, because he usually does it at the Maxwell Mansion in Lake Geneva, where we used to do our show there
Oh, okay.
upstairs. Yeah. So, and we know that that place has spirits because we've caught evidence on live TV or on live video
Yep.
interviewing people.
Oh,
So,
that's
and it's
cool.
pretty cool. Yeah, we did that for about a year, and yeah, they kind of expanded, and I kind of, well, I'm not there anymore, but that's fine. You know what I mean? And it's their business, and I respect that. But it's a beautiful place,
Hmm.
and there's so many different beautiful places around Lake Geneva, and even in Illinois. I mean, there's so many different awesome farms in Illinois, and
Yeah.
yeah, I
I
mean,
actually just found out about the what is it? The Tinker Cottage in Rockford. That place
okay,
is, yeah, I never heard of it, and I was watching actually watching Jack Osborne's show, I think it was, and they went there. I'm like, wait,
mhm,
Rockford, and I looked it up, and yeah,
yeah,
it's a really old house that actually they, I don't know if they do ghost tours anymore, but they did for a while. So I mean, there's that place in Rockford too, and then like finding out there's a lot of stuff around here, doing more research.
hmm, yeah. Yeah, the one place that I would like to do is the Drake
Oh
in
yeah.
Chicago
Mhm.
or the Congress.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean that even downtown. I mean, once I get things going with this other documentary, and then hopefully going to move on to change eras from the old west to 1920s and 30 mob scene.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I want to be able to do a whole documentary on that, ties with the paranormal and stuff. So
Mhm.
so yeah, I love Chicago. I mean, I've been there, several times, and I've never. It's just there's so much to see.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I mean, have you ever been to a place when you go there? Now that's another thing I wanted to ask you too was when you go to, do your alarms go off when you're not even thinking about it?
Oh
Like if
yeah.
you had okay, like you walk into a building and like, what is here? You know?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. That's a kind of a cool feeling, but it can be kind of distracting too. Especially if you're,
Yeah.
if you like if I'm out with my wife and I'm going to a store or something, but in a building like downtown Lake Geneva, and I know that there's activity, I'll walk into that place and be like, "Oh yeah, I know this place," and then I'll be drawn to the back of the store that used to be an old grocery store back from the 1920s. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's like, and I'll just stand there, and it's like, okay, I need to focus, because
Yeah.
I don't usually do that when I'm with family. I try to keep that to myself, so. But yeah, so is there some place that you've ever been to that you just, besides when you were talking with your fiance when you're walking down that path, so
Mhm.
in any place that you've been to that you're drawn to or that you want to continue to, or I got to go back there, I got to there's more for me to see here or to experience.
Um. Hmm.
I'm sure you've got a couple.
Um. Well, one is the Lizzie Borden house.
Exactly. I would love
I
that.
want to go back there, and I would love to get into Maplecroft. We got to go
Hmm.
and look at it, but it wasn't open to the public. That's
Oh.
another place. And then what was the other one? Um, it's called Proctor's Ledge
Hmm.
in technically I think it's Danvers, not Salem, but it's in the area where they all got executed. But where the ledge is at,
Yep.
like where the memorial is, that's not the site. The site is actually you got to go uphill,
Hmm.
and you're not really supposed to go over there.
Oh no.
So it's like I want to go there so bad.
Right,
I'm
right,
so drawn to go back over there. But a
right.
lot of stuff out there, I definitely am drawn to go out that way more so than here. I think one of the only place, ironically, the only place here is across the street from my house. It's a forest preserve that we had an experience a couple years ago. Another experience where Steve, he kind of believed it but didn't want to. Something ran at us there, and there was nothing there. So we didn't go back there for a while. We went back in August with a couple friends to investigate, and I actually saw an orb, like a white and bluish. Like I can't even explain the blue. It was very
Mhm.
pretty. Orb just go floop and fly up. And my friend that was standing next to me, like he must have saw my face because he goes,
Hmm.
"I just saw that orb too." And I was like,
Yeah.
"What?"
That's cool.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, that was I wasn't expecting to see an orb. I was expecting to see like a black shadow or something. So it was really cool seeing this beautiful orb just fly up, and Steve wasn't even paying attention. So
So you would
it's
basically
like,
what was it a light anomaly, would you think it was?
oh
I mean,
yeah, it
it
was
was
like the size of a basketball.
okay, so
Oh
that's a
wow.
light anomaly. Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So,
I know there's arguments with orbs and all that, but like when
we
you
just
can
had
see
that
it,
discussion not too long ago on our last audio podcast, and
Yeah.
it was more or less just everybody looks at it differently. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I
Hmm.
take it with a grain of salt, But if it's like you said, if that light anomaly is like that bright and that right there in front of your face, that's not a bug. That's not a
Yeah.
piece of dust. If it's the size of a
It's
basketball, it's something else. You know what
oh
I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, yeah. But so yeah,
So,
go ahead, Shane.
oh yeah. So Jesse, let's back up a little bit. You had mentioned something about the CE5 group. Can you tell us more about what that is and what it
Yeah.
involves and etc.?
So CE5 stands for Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. There's this well, he's a doctor. His name's Dr. Stephen Greer. He developed this way of communicating with extraterrestrials, ultra-terrestrials, but anything really that here's our call, I guess you could say.
Okay.
So there's steps to do. There's like a 30-minute meditation, and it's all about like your heart and sending out love and hoping to get loving beings back to
Okay.
communicate. So usually what we do is we go out, we play these tones. They're called crop circle tones. They were actually recorded right after a crop circle was formed in England in
Okay.
the 90s, I think.
That
So
would
we
make
play
sense.
that, yeah. So we play that to like kind of be like, hey, we're here. And then we do the meditation, and then we pretty much sky watch and well, land watch too, because we've had interesting stuff happen like right in front of us. Um,
Mm.
I seen like an orangish red orb kind of floating around, and then what's crazy is my one friend that takes pictures with his digital camera. He caught it on camera in the exact same area that I saw it, so that was like a validation.
Oh
And
yeah.
then we've seen some amazing things like in the sky and stuff. There was this one time, um, I just thought in my head, oh, it'd be really cool if you showed up over there by the trees. And then this bright orangish red, it wasn't even an orb, it was kind of like a shape like this, just
Okay.
shot out and disappeared. And it was a mile down the road. So that was really close, not way up in the sky.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, yeah.
We
mm-hmm.
saw that. And then the last one we had, I actually got this on film too on my Psionics camera. There was this really bright orb up in the sky, and it got really, really bright, and then it would fade away, and it would just kept going across the sky, and it would get really, really bright, and then fade away, and that happened for like 5 minutes and like 5 minutes.
Wow.
And
Wow.
as I'm videotaping it, my group are using their lasers to be like, it's right here and circle around it so I could keep it with the videotape. And I have a tech guy, I guess you could call him. His name's
Mm-hmm.
Eric.
Okay.
He has like all these like apps and other stuff that he uses to make sure it wasn't debris or satellites or
Sure.
flying
Yeah, yeah.
traffic.
I do that.
So yeah, we checked what time it was. There was nothing in that quadrant of the sky at that time.
That's awesome.
So we couldn't debunk it, and it was just interesting whenever I would think or say, where did it go? It would get really bright again, and then it
Hmm.
would kind of dim out. I call those power-ups.
Wow.
So
Interesting. I've
I
never heard
got
of that.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
I got that on camera, and it was really cool. Dr. Greer has a film. It's on Amazon called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, and then he also has other films. One is called Unacknowledged, and then there's another one called Sirius, spelled Sirus, and it's kind of all about the same thing about how, well, I guess you could say the government knows about a bunch of stuff and they're not telling us.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
That type of stuff. That's a conversation for another day.
yes.
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
know about that
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
I know
pretty much what it
nothing.
is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I make that claim that I know nothing.
Yeah, I don't know anything.
I don't know anything. I don't know anything, really. So yeah. But yeah, so basically, I mean, you've got so much going on, with the band and with your Reiki healing and your paranormal stuff and all this stuff is the UFOs and I mean just your plate's pretty full.
Yeah.
So I will say, I mean we're getting kind of close, not really, but kind of. But I what's with Las Vegas with you? Is
Uh,
there something with Las Vegas with you? I mean, because I keep seeing your face, and I keep seeing Las Vegas, Las Vegas, Las Vegas.
hmm.
So I don't know why. But is there any ties with you in Las Vegas, or that you
No,
know somebody that's
that's
going, that's inviting you, or
I mean the only reason I want to go there Or is it in LA? There's the Conscious Life Expo. I don't know if it's in Vegas or I think it might be in LA, but I actually have no want to go to Las Vegas.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
so
Well,
that's
I guess
interesting.
yeah, okay, I guess so. Coming from me, seeing that, so just kind of keep that in the back of your mind.
Will
If
do.
somebody talks to you about Vegas,
I'll text
there's a
you.
reason.
You heard it from Jay
Oh,
first.
please do.
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll have to text me, and I get that a lot too. I mean, I get that. Sometimes I kind of lay bombs on people, and they're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And then 2 days later, they'll text me, "Oh yeah," and so which is fine. It's not a big deal.
Right.
But I kept I had the desire to say that to you, so and that's it. No, so talking, we were talking a little bit about UFOs and stuff. And I am not a big fan, and I'll get roasted for this, but I'm not a big fan of Bigfoot either. And that's fine. That's my own opinion. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just like, I know that there are people that are Bigfoot hunters, and that is totally fine. I just I'm just that's not where my focus is. You know what I mean? But
hmm
I'm gonna ask you, what do you think about Bigfoot?
I think it's a perfectly normal phenomenon, I guess. I don't know. I believe in it. Well, my earrings actually are a UFO
That's
with
awesome.
Bigfoot.
Nice.
Yeah,
There you go. Right.
I love
Right.
everything paranormal. Like I'll look
Right.
into anything pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Mm-hmm.
like
Right.
there's missing 411. That's another thing that is starting to
Yep.
come up a little bit more. Like I love everything about paranormal supernatural stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you watch or do you have subscription to the Paraflix streaming?
no, but that is something it keeps popping up, so I'm probably gonna do that
Please
pretty
do,
soon.
because yeah, there's quite a few people I know that we have interviewed
Oh
hmm
on
yeah, for sure.
Paraflix, and that we're good friends with, and they've got some great stuff. Expedition
Yeah,
Entity,
I met Larry
those
and
guys,
yeah.
yeah, I'm
Larry's
good
cool.
friends with those guys. Yeah, and Larry's cool, and Dan, and
hmm
yeah,
Jenny.
solely one of my favorites, and one of my other hosts for my audio podcast, Dave Taylor from Our Haunted Lives, is also, they have a great show. Him and Christy do really well,
Yeah, they do.
and Natalie, the CEO of Paraflix, she's done a fantastic job at trying to make sure that everybody gets the content that people want, and I'm
hmm
happy for her, and I'm happy for everybody on Paraflix. And it's just one of those things. So as cheap as it is, it's very affordable. You know what I mean? And so yeah, so I try to watch some of that when I can, because I have it on my Roku.
Okay.
And
Oh
so
yeah, we have a Roku.
yeah, so this show will actually also be on Roku. So we're part of Ghost Planet Network out of
Okay.
UK. Yeah, they're out of the UK, and so um yeah, we've got 4 or 5 episodes on that channel on the Ghost Planet Network. So, and that's on Roku or Fire Stick. So yeah. So as much as I would like to say that I would like him to download all of our videos, he's so busy that Neil, that he can only do so much. I think it's just him and one other person. So, but
hmm
Yeah,
it's
that's a
it's
lot of work.
gaining popularity, and which is cool. You know what I mean? So, but so you said that you're possibly having a next gig next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully, well, yeah, we definitely will have more next year, just not anymore this year. I think we're gonna try to take January off too to try to finish
Right.
writing the album and
Right.
got to get
Right.
stuff for recording and all that.
Yeah, I
Right.
understand
Right.
all that.
Yeah. 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 I'm looking forward to that. I mean, yeah, I've heard a little bit of some of the songs on Spotify, and
hmm
you guys are legit good, and there's a lot of people, a lot of bands that are on Spotify that are not, you know,
Yeah.
and you guys are legit good. So
Thank you.
I give you props to that. So um yeah, I guess it is about that time. Holy crap, this time flies by.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely
so
did.
so
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for coming on and for tuning in. we've had a fantastic guest, and if you could, tell people where they can find you, Jessiy, that
Yeah.
you know,
Well, we have our Facebook, it's Extraction Point, and then our website is extractionpointofficial.com. And then we also have, I think it's called a link tree. That's
hmm
EXP official. You can find us there too. And then on Spotify, Extraction Point on Spotify.
nice,
Awesome.
nice. So, having said that, I want to thank my other host, Shane Peak, and I want to thank my guest, Jessiy, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This show will be aired up on YouTube probably a couple minutes. It just takes a little bit, but the audio file of this will be uploaded tonight. Wherever you get your podcast, this will be on it. So I want to thank everybody again. Everybody have a fantastic evening.
You too. Thank you so much. This was
You are
fun.
welcome.